Gather round, children, it's content time. So the December update just dropped, and this is probably the biggest update Street Fighter 6 has had since A.K.I came out. So I thought I'd do a quick run through of everything, the good and the bad, because there is some good stuff here and there's some not so good stuff here. So I figure we should look at all of it. So let's get started with the big one, the costumes. So the first big pack of costumes dropped, costume 3 for every character. I don't think I've ever been in this menu before, except for that one time I bought an A.K.I costume. Can you look at them without buying them? Oh, there we go. God, that's awful. Starting with the worst one. I'm not going to go through every costume, obviously, because we haven't got time. But yeah, costume 3s have all dropped. Some of them are great, some of them are not so great. This one I hate, because it gives me flashbacks of Street Fighter 5 Luke. But some of these are really great. I think Jamie's is one of the best. And it's got some good colors as well. I really like Jamie's. What other ones are good? Lily's. Maybe this is just me, but yeah, I think this should have been Lily's default design, because I think this looks so much better than her regular costume. But anyway, so that one's really good. Marissa, obviously, everyone wants to get murdered by wedding dress Marissa. There's some really good ones here. I like a lot of these costumes. Most of them are hits, very few are misses. I'm just trying to think if there's any others that I really like. Kimberly. Kimberly, this one's really good as well. I really like Kimberly's outfit here. Again, I feel like this might have been better as the default, because I feel like the sort of splash of color in her hair in this costume fits better with her kind of like spray can aesthetic. Yeah, I think the base color of this is the best as well. I'm not sure about the other colors of this one. Some are okay, but the number one of this is really good. So the costumes are great, but now I've got to like jump to the bad side of the costumes. Every single costume costs 300, what is this? Fight coins, I think is the currency. Every single one costs 300 fight coins. And that is kind of a predatory way to sell them, because if you go and try and buy fight coins, you can only buy them in packs of 250. You can't buy 300 fight coins, you have to buy 250 twice. So you're forced, if you want to just buy one costume, you have to go and buy 2 packs of 250, and then, I mean, you can see it right here in my account. I had to do this for A.K.I as well. So this is why I have 200 fight coins for A.K.I. Yeah, so you either have to buy 2 packs of 250 or one of 500. Either way, you're going to end up with too many fight coins if you just want to buy one. That's issue number one. The other thing is that as far as I know, they didn't sell like a bundle where you can just pay like a reduced price and get everything, as far as I know. So if you want to have every single costume 3 for every character, it's gonna cost you about $100. I think it's like 5,500 fight coins in total if you get all of them, which is about $100, which is even more expensive than the entire game, which is absolutely insane. So yeah. You have to buy 2 packs of 2,750 coins, each of which is $50, just to get every single costume 3. Just the costume 3s, not even like previous costumes. That's not great either. Speaking of poor value for money, I should also, this is not something that I've seen many people talk about, but over time this is becoming more apparent. Let me just get the browser up, hold on. So if you guys remember, going back to when this game first came out, there was actually 3 different versions of this game that you could buy. I guess 4 if you include the Mad Gear edition. But there was a version called, I think it was the Ultimate Edition of this game. Here we go. So the Ultimate Edition has a thing called the Year 1 Ultimate Pass. And as a consumer, going by the name, I would assume that basically means that I get all the DLC for Year 1, given that it's called the Year 1 Ultimate Pass. Turns out that's not what it is at all. You get the DLC characters, you get outfit 1, colors 3 to 10 for the DLC characters. You get the bonus outfits for the DLC characters only, and you get 2 stages and some drive tickets, but drive tickets are worthless. So even though people paid so much money for the Ultimate Pass, this did not include any Costume 2 or any Costume 3, with the exception of the 4 DLC characters. There's no lie. I'm not saying they lied, I want to make that clear. I'm just saying that this is maybe slightly misleading. And There should have been a version of the game where you basically get everything for the first year. I think a lot of people didn't read the fine print and just expected this version would include like everything for the first year, all costumes, all colors. It doesn't. Okay, so going back to the update, I guess that's the costume stuff. There's some cool new features that I just want to go over real quick. So you can actually now select what costumes your opponent uses in ranked match and stuff. Oh, there it is. There's this new setting called opponent outfit settings. So you can actually, even if your opponent chooses a specific costume for themselves in a ranked match, you can actually override that on your end and change their costume on your client side to a different one. And I actually like this because this means that if there's any costumes that you find really annoying because they're covered in stuff that makes the character hard to see, like Blanca-chan, for example, making him a little bit like less clear what movement he's doing, you can just reset it to default on your end, so you never have to see the really ugly costumes. The other reason this is good is for accessibility. So I know a couple of people have mentioned this already, but there are some costumes and some colors that are difficult to see for people with like certain forms of color blindness and stuff like that. And this means that they can now, without using mods, override the opponent's color choices and set it to one that's easier for them to see. So it's a good accessibility feature as well. So I like this. Going into gameplay stuff, so I can't really showcase this very easily, but Capcom have made a couple of gameplay changes. Most of them are bug fixes, but one of them is something that's been requested by a lot of people, myself included. Capcom have increased the reversal window in this game. It's now much easier to do reversals. One of the weird things about Street Fighter 6 is that this game, despite having lots of like really huge input buffers, it had a weirdly small buffer on wake up. So it was actually quite difficult to hit reversals in this game. It was 4 frames previously, which is less than Street Fighter 5, and I think less than Street Fighter 4 as well. So the input buffer has been nearly doubled for buffering a reversal. So previously you had a 4-frame window where you would get a reversal, and it would actually say reversal when you do a special move or a super on wake up. Now it's 7 frames, which is so much easier to work with. So hopefully this means that like a bunch of things, like reversals are more consistent. Like countering a meaty DI should hopefully be easier now. There's lots of situations where your opponent does meaty DI and you swear you mash the button and nothing happens because you were 1 frame out. So this is good. I really like this. So this is good. And like I said, I've been trying to balance good with bad. The bad news is A.K.I got nerfed. So this isn't actually like a character like rebalance patch. But every time there's an update for this game, there's a bunch of bug fixes. Usually stuff that you don't even know about, like, you know, certain weird interactions that you'd never experience in a real game. But sometimes a bug fix can actually affect character balance in surprisingly significant ways. And A.K.I did actually get nerfed, and this is the thing right here. So her crouching heavy kick fixed an issue where the attack was given a low hit property from frames 2 to 5. This has been fixed to a high hit property. Let me explain this change, because you might not know what any of this means. So if you didn't already know, A.K.I.'s crouch heavy kick was a weird normal. This is her crouch heavy kick. It's a weird crouch heavy kick. She's kind of got the Seth from Street Fighter 5 thing, where her crouch heavy kick is reversed with her crouch heavy punch. So her crouch heavy punch is the one that's like a sweep, and her crouch heavy kick is more like a poke in neutral. You can also anti-air with this thing. But this move had a weird property, which I guess was a bug, now we know for sure, where if this thing... It used to be the case that if you blocked this thing on the first active frame, it was a mid. So you can block this move standing, or you can block it crouching, if it hits on the first frame like this. But, prior to this update, if you hit meaty with this normal on any later active frames 2 through to 5, I think, this was a low. So in neutral, mid, but after a knockdown as a meaty, this thing was a low. Like that. That used to be a low, and now you can just block this standing or you can block it crouching. And the reason why this is actually a noteworthy nerf that actually affects A.K.I, let me explain why, because that might not seem like that big of a deal. It's not a huge nerf, you know, this isn't game changing, she's still A.K.I, it's not a big deal, but this is, like, actually has an effect. So, if you consider this situation right here, this is a common situation. You get a hit with A.K.I in the corner, and you do this. You get a hard knockdown and you put down the poison puddle, and then you get Oki as well. This is a very common setup for A.K.I. This is like her basic corner pressure option. And the reason this corner pressure was really good was because A.K.I now had a very threatening high-low game, because if she does this, if she does jab into overhead, there it is. If you do jab into overhead, this becomes +5 on hit, and you can link after it into stand light kick. So you get a combo from an overhead, and to make this overhead threatening, like to make this overhead mix up actually legit, you also have to have a threatening low as well, because otherwise people will just block high on every single wake up. So you need to have the low and the high to make the overhead threatening. So the main way of threatening the low for this mix up before was to do this. And that because you're doing a drive rush meaty crouch heavy kick here, this can hit and be up to like +7 on hit. The difference this makes is actually quite significant to the combo afterwards, because A.K.I.'s best low here was crouch heavy kick. And let me just show you a damage comparison here. So if I do something like that, let's just leave it there. So that's using the old crouch heavy kick, and that does 3,991 damage. Now, because of the nerf to crouch heavy kick, that it's no longer a low, you have to use crouch medium kick here. And so 3,991 damage is now 3,627. So what's that? About a 10% damage reduction in her combo output from a low. Her best low starter is now about 10% less damage. So that is actually like a nerf that could make a difference. Like that could be the difference between killing and not killing in this situation. So you still do get a combo here if you switch to drive rush crouch medium kick for the low, but it is a nerf. It is a nerf. It is a bit unfortunate. Don't know if it was necessary, don't know if it was deserved, but it is a nerf. So that's unfortunate. What else we got in this update? Oh yeah, there's a Baki collab. I don't know if this is the thing that anyone cares about except for me and the 10 other Baki fans out there. There's the Baki titles. You've got Strongest Creature on Earth with Yujiro. You've got the Triceratops Fist. Shout outs to my boy Pickle. I like these little collabs they're doing. Like the one that I'm using right now is this one, which is the Blackjack collab. There's some fun collabs going on. Oh yeah, one last thing I want to cover real quick before I go. Rage quitting. You guys have all experienced it. We all know it happens in this game. Capcom have actually added a new thing for when people rage quit on you. So yeah, so now when someone it used to be the case that if someone rage quitted against you, it would just say like lost connection to opponent and then boot you back to training mode. But now it gives you this screen. The match has ended because of a disconnection. No replay will be recorded. And it gives you that user's name. And it also gives you their user code and lets you go into their profile directly. And I like this because you can directly now blacklist people if they rage quit. Like previously, if someone rage quit and you wanted to blacklist them so you didn't have to play them anymore, you'd have to like go into the menu, try and note down their name, or like remember their username, search it, and then add it, and then it was a whole complicated process. Now if someone rage quits against you and you want to blacklist them, you just click details and then just add them to blacklist. It's like 2 buttons. And also if you want to post pictures on Twitter to shame Pinhead Larry 626 and let the whole world know that Pinhead Larry pulled the plug on you, I guess that's also easier. That's the current state of the update. Mostly good. The price point of the costumes is kind of insane, but mostly good. Unfortunate A.K.I nerf, but it be like that sometimes. Alright, I will see you guys in the next video.